Wow. And then do you play more of like a psychologist role because you're digging deep into the person's history and the perceiving? Like, are you playing more of a psychologist role in your practice?
Well, so what I do is I don't consider it like that. I do education. So I want to teach the person about how their biology works and then ask questions, and so, you could categorize it in that way. I consider it more, consulting, coaching of, this is what the map of GNM says. Let's look at your life experiences and let's try to connect the dots and find solutions, and so that is what's necessary. So for a person, if a child is having a symptom, I'll work with the parents. I don't work directly with children. I work with the parents so that they can understand, and then I have the parent work with the child because, you're going to be your child's best coach. Children don't want to go to see someone about theirs. They just want to have fun. And so the parents, it's kind of on you to connect these dots. But I, get all sorts of wonderful messages from people. A mother messaged me and said, oh, my daughter, she was at school and someone was sitting next to her and like threw up on the floor. And so, and then the little girl broke out in hives for the next 3 days. And she said it was when, the next day when she was coloring, she broke out on terrible hives, mostly by her feet, which is where the barf landed. And so when the mom asked the little girl, like, how did you feel when, the girl at school threw up on the floor near you? She said, I just wanted to get away from it. And so hives, it's a separation conflict of the outer skin. And so she wanted to separate. She wanted to get away from the barf, from the girl, from the situation. And what's interesting is she had seen like they were going to go away, and then the little girl was coloring. And so she was coloring when the barf situation originally happened. And so it became a trap for her. So the next day when she was coloring, it had seemed like it was going to go away, but it flared back up again. Because her biology remembered we were coloring when this situation happened that we wanted to get away from. So the body goes ahead and activates the biological program of the skin separation. So I suggested to her to have her draw a picture. So it's about coloring is the track. Have her draw a picture of the whole situation of the girl barfing on the ground and her wanting to get away from it. Because, if you can get her to laugh about it, if you can help her to like find it funny, like how silly, like to draw a card, coloring crayon picture of someone barfing, like that's just going to be funny. And so that could be the resolution, because one, you have to process it, because in that moment she felt all alone. You want her to be able to talk about it, to share how she felt in that moment. And can we find this funny? And so after she did that, everything cleared up. And so she was able to color without having the hives anymore. And so this is just an example of a way that you can help a child through something by understanding, because otherwise if a parent's like, oh no, my child has hives now, and you're going to have to, you take them to the dermatologist, you take them to the pediatrician, and they give you steroids, or they give you, all sorts of things that is unnecessary. When you understand what happened to her, how she felt shocked in that moment, how she felt like she needed to get away, and how she can kind of bring a resolution around the whole thing. And so that's like kind of what the work is being creative, especially when you're dealing with children and dealing with yourself as well. We have to be creative. And, how can you, resolve this self-devaluation conflict, this identity conflict, this height conflict? Is it something you need to practically do? That's always the first line, is a practical change. And then we look at changing perception, changing the way that you're thinking about the situation.
Very nice. That's such an interesting story that like now the coloring, the body remembered. That's pretty unique.
If you believe more constructive information like this should be out there for people to know, please leave a like on this video. And if you're a person who's into self-development in all aspects of their life, please subscribe, because that is what we do here at Good Demand. Keep demanding good things. And if you haven't bought a pair of Good Night blue blockers and you use a phone at night or an iPad or TV at night, please consider buying a pair of these. They're beautiful and they work so well and they help support our growth.